My half-sister was most fascinated by the romantic tales of young ladies and scholars defying societal norms. On her wedding day to Prince Gu, she eloped with a poor scholar. My legal mother made me take her place as the bride. Prince Gu was in love with my half-sister and promised to let me leave once she returned. Being sensible, I drank contraceptive medicine every night, always mindful of my position. Until 3 years later, when I discovered I was unexpectedly pregnant. While trembling in fear, I overheard that Prince Gu had found my half-sister. I immediately did the considerate thing and faked my death. Until on a southbound ship, Prince Gu stared at me with a grim expression. I wonder if you has seen my runaway princess? Ding! This novel reminds you to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner to read the complete novel. It's terrible, my madam, the young miss has eloped. My legal mother spat out her tea. What? The maid sobbed as she took out a book. The young miss had been reading this novel lately. Who knew she would actually elope with that scholar last night? Father snatched the book, The Domineering Lady's Greatest Love, the Gentle Scholar's Fierce Devotion, and upon seeing the title, fainted from anger. The household immediately fell into chaos. My legal mother's figure swayed, and the elderly maid quickly supported her while saying gravely, "My madam, the urgent matter now is how to explain this to Prince Gu." Hearing this, legal mother gritted her teeth and forced herself not to faint. Her sharp eyes shot towards me as I sat casually eating melon seeds watching the drama unfold. Though legal mother's face showed reluctance, she still strode over to me, grabbing my hand with tears streaming down her face. "Susu, has mother treated you well all these years?" "Me, just average." She choked, then continued. "Has your sister treated you kindly?" "Me, not really." Legal mother choked again. "Now is the time for you to repay us." Those 2 questions were unnecessary. Prince Gu was rumored to be ruthless and murderous. If he found out the Qin family's legitimate daughter had fled marriage, and they tried to fool him with a concubine's daughter, I would likely be his first target. Legal mother's move was using my life to appease Prince Gu's anger. "Don't worry, from now on you'll be the legitimate daughter of the household." Legal mother nearly ground her teeth to dust. "Your birth mother can also be recorded in the family genealogy and receive ancestral offerings." I knew that even if I disagreed today, I would be tied up and sent in the bridal sedan chair. I could only nod. Dressed in my half-sister's golden brocade wedding dress, accompanied by the sound of my legal mother coughing up blood. With all the ceremonial music in procession, I entered Prince Gu's residence. At midnight, my maid, Mylan, crouched in the corridor with a red face. The intimate sounds of heavy breathing from inside the room came in waves, each stronger than the last. Prince Gu had been on the battlefield, his muscles were rock hard. I clung to his sweat-soaked, veiny arms, but kept slipping off. Each time I slipped, I was forcefully pushed against the headboard. When Gu Feng saw me being pushed away, he would roughly pull me back. It was truly exhausting. The hot water in the wing room had been constantly available since our grand wedding 3 years ago, requiring fresh water almost every night. In my dazed state, I was carried and placed in the bathtub. Someone gently bathed me, dried me off, and put me to bed. Gu Feng softly nibbled my ear. "When I first married him, I was practically skin and bones. Now I've finally put on some weight." Gu Feng wasn't as ruthlessly murderous as the rumors claimed. Back at home, I only got to eat when my half-sister was in a good mood, just 1 meal a day. Sometimes when she was angry, she would whip me. But fortunately she wasn't very strong, so there weren't many scars. After punishment, I'd get a full meal the next day, but never any monthly allowance. Despite being from a noble family, I could only wear my half-sister's hand-me-downs. All because my legal mother saw my birth mother as a thorn in her side. After marrying Gu Feng, he was too busy to monitor what I ate. So I had balanced meals daily and even grew a bit taller. Gu Feng was strict with his servants, so none of them played favorites or bullied others. Except for being tossed around every night. My life was quite comfortable. I nestled myself in Gu Feng's arms, nuzzling his neck while complimenting him. "My prince is so powerful." I always remembered that I was paid for this. I had to make sure Gu Feng felt he got his money's worth. Gu Feng curved his lips into a smile and stroked my head. The pure gold headdress I ordered should be ready in these few days. My eyes lit up. "My prince, You're the best. See. Even Prince Gu, clever as a fox and shrewd as can be, couldn't resist sweet talk. I hugged his neck and nuzzled him, sighing inwardly. How wonderful it would be if I could live like this forever. My benefactor was both generous and busy. Just as I was comfortably stretching out on the bed, exposing my soft belly, a maid stood by the bedside with a bowl of black medicine. My heart suddenly dropped. I immediately sobered up, quickly sat up, took the bowl of medicine and drank it all in one go. It startled me. I had really lost my bearings after a few days of good living. After intimacy each day, Gu Feng would have me drink a bowl of medicine to prevent pregnancy. I knew my place well and obediently drank the medicine daily to keep Gu Feng happy. The bitterness numbed my tongue. After drinking it, I was mostly awake. Taking medicine was nothing. Not only did Gu Feng forbid me from having children, I myself knew deeply that I couldn't. I was merely a substitute for when my half-sister wasn't around. On our wedding night, I explained to Gu Feng the truth about being a substitute bride. I was originally so hungry and dizzy on the way, still thinking about how to make excuses to him and then find a way to escape. Only after eating my fill did I realize those plans wouldn't work. Although Gu Feng doesn't deal with court affairs now, but he had been fighting the Huns with the late emperor since he was 13. And as the new emperor's uncle, he helped put the new emperor on the throne. Lying wouldn't work, as one lie would need countless lies to cover it up. After much thought, to survive, honesty was the only way. Gu Feng remained silent, and I didn't know if I would still live through his fury. My back was covered in a thin layer of nervous sweat. After a while, I heard Gu Feng's cold voice above my head. I will send people to look for your sister. Until then, you'll temporarily serve as my princess. I was grateful for my face that looked 50% similar to my half-sister's. I will serve you like an ox or horse to repay your kindness. That won't be necessary. I conscientiously got up to help Gu Feng change his clothes, then retreated to the couch in the outer room. Your Highness, rest assured, I'll be just like a servant from now on, and won't offend your eyes. I was quite clever indeed. But just as I was about to leave, I felt a tight grip around my waist as Gu Feng pulled me back. On our wedding night, you want to let the servants laugh at me? My whole body froze. This was a different price. Gu Feng continued. When we find your sister later, I will give you a generous amount of silver for your future. Don't covet things that don't belong to you. Silver? Yes, Your Highness. No problem, Your Highness. I quickly cleaned myself up. Gu Feng's lips curled slightly. Then he saw the bed curtains covered with peanut, longan, and sunflower seed shells. He lost in thought. The manor's servants were becoming more and more outrageous. Even stealing the peanuts, longans, and sunflower seeds meant for scattering, only leaving the shells, and no red dates at all. Tomorrow he must investigate who was so bold. He turned his head to see obvious sunflower seed shells at the corner of my mouth, and what appeared to be the missing red dates in my sleeve. I gave a dry laugh. As expected of the prince's manner, even the quality of scattered treats is extraordinary. Gu Feng's eyes showed complex emotions. Originally, I had prepared for 2 scenarios. If I was to be killed, at least I'd die with a full stomach. And if I was thrown out, I could survive for a few days. Unexpectedly, I made it through. Knowing I was in the wrong, that night I worked extra hard to serve my patron. For 3 years, I kept to my place and served diligently. I drank every drop of the contraceptive medicine each time. If my half-sister returned later and saw a substitute with a child, she would likely try to eliminate us. And my best outcome would be to be sent away. I couldn't protect him. Even if he could survive, I didn't want him to grow up like me. Seeing me obediently finish drinking, Gu Feng rewarded me by placing a round gold ingot in my hand. My eyes lit up. If it's 1 gold ingot per bowl of medicine. Not to brag, but I could keep drinking forever. Little money grubber, is your small box almost full? I became somewhat alert, wondering how he knew about my treasure box. I gave the man before me an ingratiating smile, then lay back down and clung to Gu Feng's waist coquettishly. Gu Feng took a deep breath and patted my waist. Lie down properly. I obediently lay down on the inner side as told. Being so adaptable as I am, and Gu Feng being so wealthy. When he finds my half-sister later, I must beg hard for a sum of money for my future. I need to leave the city for a while, I'll be back in 3 days. With sleepy eyes, I remained professional. Take care of yourself, Your Highness, I will miss you. Gu Feng absently stroked my hair without speaking, and I fell asleep shortly after. 3 days later, Gu Feng returned to the mansion. Early in the morning, I brought the snow pear soup made by Mylan to find him in the study, hoping to coax him into giving me 2 more gold bars. Just as I was about to knock, I heard voices from inside. How is Chen Xinue? My mind went blank. My fingers gripped the tray until my knuckles turned white. My heart sank inch by inch. My half-sister had returned. I felt like I'd fallen into an ice pit, instantly transported back to those years of struggling to survive under my half-sister's control. Father favored her and dismissed me. After my birth mother passed away, my half-sister punished me by making me kneel for stealing a bite of food, starving me for 3 days. When I refused to serve my legal mother, my half-sister trampled on my birth mother's memorial tablet to insult it. The man I've shared a bed with for 3 years has also been looking for my half-sister all along. His secret guard, one's voice rang out. Miss Chen has returned to the Chen family. Gu Feng's steady voice continued. What about that scholar? Haven't seen him. Keep watching. I didn't go in, but turned and went back to the courtyard. So he left the city because he had news of my half-sister and went looking for her. He even sent his guard, one, to escort her back home. Back when I returned home to get my birth mother's memorial tablet, he only sent 13 to protect me and in secret. She truly is his unattainable moonlight. I need to prepare early. Fortunately, my new novel The Prince's Runaway Cute Consort is finally complete. This novel, based on Prince Gu and my half-sister, has earned me quite a fortune. Just as I was calculating how much money I had saved, I suddenly felt nauseous. I was startled, thinking back on recent days. At first my appetite wasn't good, and lately I've been feeling sleepy. I thought it was spring drowsiness. But I've always been cautious about these things. After Gu Feng left, I secretly had Mylan find a female doctor from the neighboring county. While waiting, I fell asleep again on the couch under the window. In my dream, Gu Feng stared at me coldly from above. How dare you get pregnant in secret? Only Xinue can bear my children. My half-sister suddenly appeared from behind, clinging coquettishly to Gu Feng's shoulders, looking at me with contempt and triumph. Gu Feng held my half-sister whom he had regained, coldly watching me kneel on the ground. You've occupied Xinue's position for 2 years, you owe her. His cold tone made my heart tremble. Considering you've served me, drink this medicine to end the pregnancy and leave quickly. Looking at the black medicine, I felt bitterness seep into my heart. But thinking of my treasure box, I took the medicine and kowtowed. I'll leave right away, right away. Just as I was about to leave, my half-sister suddenly spoke. Leave the chest behind, that belongs to Gu Feng and me. She tossed 2 copper coins at me. This is what you deserve. Gu Feng smiled indulgently at my half-sister, and even placed my gold crown on her head. My half-sister turned to look at me mockingly. Someone come, force her to drink the medicine and throw her out. As soon as she finished speaking, 2 burly men entered. They were Gu Feng's personal guards. They grabbed my jaw and tilted my head back, forcing the bitter black medicine down my throat and into my nose. After forcing me to drink it, they dragged me out by my arms. I watched my treasure box get further and further away. The medicine cold on my face, my heart feeling twisted and wrung out. No! The 2 men threw me at the main gate. Outside, snow was falling heavily. I wore only a thin dress that my half-sister had discarded, shivering from the cold. Gu Feng hadn't given me even a copper coin. Soon the gates opened again, and the same 2 men dragged out Mylan, covered in blood. This person stole from the mansion, and has been executed on the spot by our princess. I felt my blood freeze as I held Mylan in the heavy snow, wailing. Mylan! I was wrong. I shouldn't have coveted things that weren't mine. I'll never dare again. Please wake up. Mylan, Mylan. I suddenly woke up. Mylan's face was right in front of me, looking worried. Miss, I'm here. I reached out to touch Mylan's face. Still warm. Mylan wiped the tears from my face. Miss, did you have a nightmare? The female doctor is here now. Shall she examine you? The female doctor took my pulse. She bowed to me. It's a pregnancy pulse. Like a bolt from the blue. Though I had some suspicions, I had still been hoping otherwise. Recalling the scenes from my dream, I felt chills seep into my bones. Of all times, it had to be now. Fortunately, I've saved quite a bit of money these 2 years. It's enough to buy a small courtyard further out in the countryside for Mylan and me to live peacefully for life. I counted the jewelry Gufong had given me again. Most were gold, with several gemstones. These I won't be able to take later, but I can sell them now. To be safe, I still need to save more money. In the evening, Gufong returned. As soon as he entered, he swept me up in his arms and strode toward the bed. I was already prepared to deal with this. I put on makeup to appear weak and pushed him away. I'm not feeling well. Gufong frowned, somewhat displeased. Did you call for the physician? He was about to get up to summon someone. I quickly said, no need. It's that time of the month. Gufong understood. At night, lying beside me, he suddenly asked. I heard you brought in a woman from the neighboring county? My heart skipped a beat. Yes, Mylan heard she knows how to make goosepear incense, and asked me to invite her to teach her. Gufong asked, she was sent away in less than an hour? My heart sank heavily, he clearly knew everything. Mylan had no patience to learn, so I bought the ready-made incense and sent the woman away. Women's illnesses are difficult. This was the excuse for the female doctor's house call. What everyone was told. Feeling the tiny unformed thing in my belly, I tentatively spoke. I heard Minister Zhao's outside house concubine is with child. And he wants to bring her home, but his wife is causing a huge fuss. Sigh, his wife's family is powerful. If she truly doesn't agree, the child may end up illegitimate. Gufong made a sound of acknowledgement next to my ear. Since he didn't take a stance, I was even more uncertain of his thoughts and continued probing. What would your highness do if you had an illegitimate child? After a long silence, just when I thought he wouldn't answer, Gufong slowly spoke. It won't happen. HM? What won't happen? I won't have illegitimate children. I was confused. He was a prince, he would eventually have children with concubines. Why not? Gufong patted me, his sleepy voice responding. Get rid of the mother and there won't be any children. I didn't reply. Soon steady breathing could be heard behind me. I lay there motionless in his embrace. Eyes wide open until dawn before finally drifting off to sleep. I thought long and hard last night. If Gufong had a conscience, he would give me money and let me leave. But given my half-sister's personality, knowing I had taken her place and enjoyed her status these past 2 years, would she want me dead? And Gufong, who had been searching for my half-sister, clearly cared even more about her now that she was out of reach. If she wanted my life then, it would be all too easy. Moreover, I now carried deadly evidence within me. Looking at Mylan beside me, eating a chicken leg with oil dripping down her chin. I cannot just wait for death. I must find a dignified way out before Gufong dismisses me. Now that Gufong has found his beloved, he must be both happy and jealous. Happy to have found his love, jealous that his love had left him for another. I've always been tactful, now is the time to be an understanding flower. Help resolve his inner conflict, and naturally bring up Gufang's previous promise. He is a man of his word, never short on anything he promised me. I dare not hope for divorce. But I could die from illness, that would be better for Prince Gu's reputation. I just need to escape before my half-sister makes her move. Then everything from my dreams won't happen. I packed up all my belongings. Made a table full of dishes myself, planning to leave that night after getting permission. Gufong didn't return that evening. The maid reported. His Highness was invited by Lord Qin. He says you need not wait up and should rest early. Of course, my half-sister was back. Naturally Gufong would go accompany her. I sat alone in my room all night. Early next morning, I changed into men's clothes and snuck out of the residence to pawn all my jewelry, exchanging the gold and silver for easily carried banknotes. Then I heard people on the streets discussing the Chin family's upcoming celebration. The Chin family only had my newly returned half-sister unmarried. So the celebration's purpose was obvious. Thinking of how Gu Feng stayed at the Chin residence all night, I suppressed my rising nausea. Last night I had vaguely sensed this matter likely wouldn't end well. Indeed, plans can never keep up with changes. Early the next morning, I received an invitation from my half-sister for a meeting. Holding the invitation, my heart sank completely. Having lived under my legal mother and half-sister all these years, I knew exactly what kind of people they were. My birth mother died from my legal mother's torment after falling out of favor. Even now, thinking back to those methods still makes my heart tremble. In an instant, I figured it all out. My half-sister has always been ruthless. This invitation likely means I won't be coming back alive. No wonder I had that dream before. It was a premonition. My legal mother and father naturally knew about Gu Feng's intentions. Gu Feng had been looking for my half-sister, and now would certainly try everything to switch her back with me. But I've already shown my face in public these past 2 years. If my half-sister wants to become the Princess Gu, there's only one way. Only if I die. Then she can rightfully marry Gu Feng. Gu Feng went to the palace early, probably to pave the way for my half-sister. By not being present, he can distance himself and avoid people criticizing him for being cruel. After my death, Gu Feng will marry my half-sister out of excessive grief. And rumors will spread that she was his original intended bride anyway. This would become another beautiful tale. But these 2 years did give me some breathing room. I'm considered quite wealthy now. Chin Xinue arranged to meet at the largest restaurant in the capital. This obvious trap I absolutely won't attend. I watched from afar as she sat by the window. The large round table before her filled with delicacies. It seems she hasn't eaten such fine food in the 2 years since she ran away. She kept stroking a book in her hands. The book had gold-embossed letters, "The Prince's Runaway Cute Consort." Ever since learning my half-sister loved reading novels, I thought to weave a dream for her. 3 years ago. My novel, The Domineering Lady's Greatest Love, The Gentle Scholar's Fierce Devotion, took the capital by storm. In these scholar lady novels, the scholar won't let the lady do any work. He does the farming, studies, cooks daily, still finds time to carve wooden hairpins for her. Not only composes poetry but also hunts in the mountains. Using one day as 8, still with energy at night. In the end he becomes the top scholar, gains an important position. And the heroine gets revenge on all the women who looked down on her. Looking at Chin Xinue now, her unavoidably rough features. Her cracked hands, even in fine silk she can't maintain her former noble air. Chin Xinue, I wonder how well you lived in the beautiful dream I wove for you. Whether the past was a beautiful dream or nightmare, you now have a new dream. The prince's runaway cute consort is a willful, unruly beauty who loves farming in the prince's garden. And the prince is moved by her natural innocence. But if Chin Xinue were to farm in Gu Feng's garden now, it would probably only remind him of her past life with another man. And if she acts willful and unruly with that face, Gu Feng taking concubines is just a matter of time. It's just a pity I won't get to see it in person. My legal mother cares most about Chin Xinue. I've only repaid 1/10,000th of the humiliation she dealt my mother. Before I leave, I naturally left a grand gift for my legal mother too. That book, The Untold Stories of the Madam and the Horsekeeper, should start selling today. With the reputation I've built over these years, it will surely sell out as soon as it hits the shelves. Mylan and I packed the money I had saved and changed into coarse clothes. Under the cover of night, I set fire to the house. The death of Prince Gu's wife in a fire, I had even prepared the reason myself. How thoughtful. Mylan and I got onto the carriage that was prepared in advance. I just wanted to live. While my half-sister and Gu Feng simply wanted me to legitimately give up my position as Princess Gu. Though this fire wouldn't fool Gu Feng, it was enough. I burned everything related to my role as Princess Gu in that fire, only taking my treasure box with me. I just hoped he would spare me, considering how obedient I had been in the past. I didn't even take that pure gold headdress. Gu Feng knows how much I loved that headdress. I left such a grand welcome gift for my half-sister, surely Gu Feng would let me go. Mylan and I disguised ourselves as men and boarded a southbound cargo ship. Standing in the cabin, I watched the prosperous capital gradually fade away. If nothing unexpected happened, I would never return in this lifetime. The ship sailed very fast, and along the way I saw common people living peaceful lives. Gu Feng's name carried great prestige among the common folk. He wasn't just the ruthless and cold-hearted person that rumors in the capital claimed. I suffered from both seasickness and morning sickness, tormented beyond words. Fortunately, we met a kind Mr. Zhao on the ship who took care of us. In my discomfort, I somehow dreamed of my first meeting with Gu Feng. It was early spring, 3 years ago. After reading a story in a novel about a scholar falling in love at first sight with a lady flying a kite. My half-sister also wanted to go to the riverside for an outing. For sister's kite flying, I had to get the kite up in the air before handing it to her. There was no wind that day. While my half-sister and her maid sat in the shade drinking tea. I was already hungry and felt dizzy from running. This was just one in thousands of ways my half-sister tormented me. Just when I was about to faint from exhaustion, the kite finally took flight. When I went to give it to my half-sister, I saw her eyes filled with spring sentiment, gazing at men on a pleasure boat on the river. 5 or 6 men stood at the edge of the boat, loudly joking while looking at us. Only one man in coarse clothing spoke up to stop them. Those joking were all sons of noble families and nobody respected him. That man's face reddened as he bowed from afar to apologize to my half-sister. That man was the scholar who later eloped with my half-sister. The only person sitting and drinking tea behind everyone else was Prince Gu Feng. It turned out my half-sister had caught more than just that scholar's eye at that time. This must have been the moment when Gu Feng fell in love with my half-sister at first sight. After waking from the dream and recalling the scene, I vomited violently again. Just as we reached port, Mylan and I wanted to go ashore for a walk. Before we could disembark, we saw a group of soldiers coming aboard, taking positions all over the ship, followed by men in black with swords at their waists. I immediately recognized them as Prince Gu's men. Leading them was 13, Gu Feng's secret guard. Mylan and I hid in a crack between cargo holds, even softening our breathing. I knew this wasn't good. Was it Gu Feng not letting me go, or did my half-sister send them through Gu Feng? I believed I had served Gu Feng well these 3 years. Even if he didn't care for me, he should spare my life considering how sensible I'd been. If my half-sister sent them, that would truly be deadly. The cabin was completely silent. Mylan and I covered our mouths and squeezed ourselves tighter. Creak. The cabin door opened, and light footsteps entered, beginning to search everywhere. Mylan trembled nervously. I gently pressed her shoulder to comfort her. The footsteps came closer, stopping just one wooden crate away from us. I stared intently at that shadow on the ground. It moved, taking one step forward. I held my breath, and just when I thought we would be discovered, the shadow suddenly retreated, footsteps gradually fading away. As the door closed, Mylan and I both collapsed to the ground, breathing heavily. Just as I was about to get up to check the situation, a pair of large hands grabbed me from behind. I almost screamed, but turning around I saw Mr. Zhao, who had been taking care of us, poking his head out. Shoo! I had been frightened repeatedly, but thankfully they were all false alarms. Mr. Zhao gestured for us to stay quiet. They might not be far yet, let's wait a while before going out. I nodded, and the 3 of us sat together waiting. As we heard a clear from the ship, we all let out a sigh of relief. We had made it through this ordeal. We tacitly avoided asking each other why we were hiding. When his sleeve accidentally turned up, I saw the Bai family crest. That was also the family I had chosen for myself before the substitution marriage. The Bai family was known for their strict discipline. Due to backing the wrong side in earlier years, they no longer held positions at court. Though their century-old foundation remained intact and no one deliberately bullied them, no one was willing to marry their daughters into the family either. I had no grand ambitions, only seeking stability and having enough food and clothing. The youngest son of the Bai family showed no drive for success, and the family didn't need him to manage affairs or bring honor. I was quite satisfied with this, no need to manage the household. And a husband who rarely came home. Now I'm just grateful we didn't get to meet at that polo gathering. Before I could carry out my plan. After crouching for so long, I felt dizzy when standing up and nearly fell. Fortunately, someone beside me caught me. There was a loud bang. The cabin door opened again. I struggled to open my eyes and look at the figure walking in against the light. My blood ran cold in an instant. Gu Feng's cold gaze fixed directly on me. Had enough embracing? I quickly backed away from Mr. Zhao's arms. Mr. Zhao, now empty-handed, stepped forward to shield me, showing the fearless spirit of youth. How dare Prince Gu force a lady like this? Gu Feng's face darkened to an almost dripping degree. Before he could finish speaking, several people came in from outside, gagged Mr. Zhao and carried him away quickly. The Bai family's old steward followed, profusely apologizing to Gu Feng with cold sweat. 13 also came in and pulled Mylan away. Mylan was terrified and completely helpless. The cabin fell silent, with only the smell of grain lingering in the air. Gu Feng walked slowly toward me, each step feeling like it was treading on my heart. Finally stopping one step away from me. I wonder if you've seen my runaway princess. I kept my head down, not daring to look at him. He came looking for Chen Xinui here? Did Chen Xinui come find me? I recalled the scene from my dream. How could it play out again, just in a different place? I was taken back to Gu Feng's boat, sailing back the way we came. I was confined to a room, and Gu Feng didn't return until evening. I asked tremblingly, "Where is Mylan?" I heard a sneer from above. "You should worry about yourself first." With that, everything spun as Gu Feng lifted me onto the bed. Gu Feng's lips pressed down, biting mine hard. "Susu, why did you run?" Seeing me stubbornly refusing to answer, I pushed him while asking, "What about Mylan?" Gu Feng seemed to run out of patience. "For that fool from the Bai family? Elope with him? You're a married woman." He spoke more urgently, his eyes reddening. Seeing me shrinking my neck, Gu Feng closed his eyes deeply. Sensing he didn't intend to kill me, I cautiously reached out to stroke his back a couple times. "Don't be angry, Mylan." Before I could finish, Gu Feng's gaze darkened, and the next second he gripped my neck and kissed me. Just as he tried to undo my belt, I suddenly came to my senses. I stopped him immediately. His face flushed with displeasure. He tried to continue, I refused again. After several rounds, we both sat at the bedside breathing heavily. Gu Feng watched as I wrapped myself in blankets like a long roll. He laughed in exasperation. His hand reached to the side and grabbed my treasure box. My eyes sharpened as I reached out to snatch it. Gu Feng dodged while examining it. All valuable items. There was a click. The box closed. Mine now. I ground my back teeth. There wasn't just his gifts inside, but also money from selling my novels. My hard-earned money. I bit my lip hard and fell back onto the bed, my heart turning to ashes. No more money. And Gu Feng clearly wouldn't let me go. He either wanted to take revenge for Chen Xinui through me, or planned to keep us both. What chance did a substitute have against the true love? Either way, I couldn't escape a fate of torment. If only I had performed worse these 3 years. Perhaps Gu Feng would have grown bored and let me go by now. I still didn't see Mylan the next day, and seasickness made me vomit terribly again. Surprisingly, Gu Feng took care of me personally. He even allowed me to go ashore to get some medicine from a clinic. When Chen Xinui wasn't around, he was genuinely nice to me. That's why leaving was even more painful. I pretended to be embarrassed and pushed Gu Feng out of the clinic door. He didn't insist on staying, since the entire clinic was already surrounded anyway. The doctor took my pulse. "Your body wasn't properly nourished in your early years. Pregnancy is not advisable, which explains such severe reactions. Forced abortion could damage your foundation, making it difficult to conceive in the future." I returned with the seasickness medicine. On my way back, I heard about the development of my book. The Untold Stories of the Madam and the Horsekeeper. I heard Lord Chen's wife had an affair with a horse servant before her marriage. They say she even brought that horse servant to her husband's family as part of her dowry. I heard the eldest daughter of the Chen family was premature. Does that mean? Is it true? I heard even His Majesty the Emperor criticized Lord Chen for his loose family discipline. How could this be false? I discovered the affair between my legal mother and the horse servant by accident. But I had no proof. As long as everyone believes it, Father will definitely investigate thoroughly. If he finds even a tiny trace of evidence, my suspicious father will surely believe it. Even without evidence, it's enough to nail my legal mother to the pillar of shame. Just like what she did to my mother years ago. She accused my mother of seducing a fishmonger. And claiming to protect the family's reputation, she stripped my mother naked. And beat her with wooden planks in the courtyard behind closed doors until she died. My mother, fearing she would implicate me, kept shaking her head at me before she died, silently telling me to protect myself. I must pay it back 1,000 times over. She loved to falsely accuse out-of-favor concubines of having affairs with outsiders. Then execute them within the household. Now it's time for her to taste what that feels like. The only difference is that my mother was wrongly accused, while she is actually guilty. At night, lying in bed listening to the sound of water outside the window, I made a decision. I'm sorry, but for my own survival, I don't want this little one in my belly. My thinking was actually very simple. If Chin Xinua wants revenge on me, at worst I can fight her to the death. But if I have a child, I can die if I can't escape, but how could I watch helplessly as my child is killed before my eyes? They might still be in swaddling clothes then. Or maybe already able to call me mother. Or perhaps grown into a mischievous little boy. If all these happy moments must be exchanged for heart-wrenching pain in the end, I'd rather not have them at all. Just as I was pouring the medicine into the teacup, the door was suddenly pushed open. Gu Feng's eyes shone with a bright light as he looked straight at me. Then he looked down at the abortion medicine in my hand. The light in his eyes completely extinguished. He swatted the medicine to the ground with one hand, gripped my shoulders tightly, his eyes hurt and wronged. Why did you run? Why don't you want our child? I turned my head away, my nose stinging. You're the one who doesn't want it. You only want Chin Xinua. Gu Feng froze, seeming to realize something. Helped me sit on the couch, and looked at me earnestly. Su, are you jealous? This isn't about jealousy. If you love Chin Xinua, I have to die. I just want to live. Gu Feng had never seen me cry before. Now seeing my tears falling drop by drop, he crouched down in front of me in panic, anxiously explaining. I don't like Chin Xinua, I've never even seen her face clearly. This time it was my turn to be shocked. That spring, you were flying a kite, I saw you at first glance. When I proposed to your father, he said you were the Chin family's eldest daughter Chin Xinua. I had a guard secretly delivered gifts to you only to discover your father had lied. When I found out how Chin Xinua treated you, I had that scholar approach her and trick her into eloping. Didn't you notice the wedding clothes were made to your measurements? You were nothing but skin and bones then. I thought deeply, then refuted him. You said when she returns I must give up my position. Not to covet things that don't belong to me. Gu Feng knocked my head lightly. Did you think I didn't know you planned to run away the next day? You didn't know me, didn't believe I could love you, I had to give you a reason to stay. But after 2 years I still haven't warmed your heart. Since we're being so honest, I continued questioning. You said you were going on salt patrol, but actually went to find Chin Xinua. And even had guard 1 watch her. When I went home there was only 13. Gu Feng raised an eyebrow. You didn't eavesdrop on the whole conversation. She came back on her own. 1 was watching her to keep her from approaching you. That scholar was already on his way to take her back. Chin Xinua won't return, I have people watching her to ensure she never comes back to the capital. My tears fell uncontrollably as I choked out. You even made me drink contraceptive medicine. Gu Feng reached out to wipe my tears, but they only fell faster. Your body wasn't well nourished as a child. That was medicine to prevent pregnancy and help regulate your body. You've only just put on some weight these 2 years. I was thinking we'd wait another 2 years before having children. I recalled the doctor in the small town also said I wasn't healthy enough and shouldn't get pregnant now. Now, let's talk about you trying to drink abortion medicine. I felt guilty. And that by boy you tried to elope with in the boat cabin. I quietly turned my head away. And burning all your things and the prince's mansion. I buried my head in his chest, muttering in protest. You said you'd get rid of the mother of the illegitimate child. Gu Feng gently pushed me back, looking straight into my eyes. Su, you are my wife. When you got pregnant, you should have happily told me we're having a child. Not asked how I deal with illegitimate children. I was speechless. I had never been loved, so naturally didn't know how to love others. Love is intangible, only money in hand is real. I deliberately ignored all evidence of his kindness toward me, only remembering things I felt I could control, things that could convince me to only see gains and losses. I looked into his eyes, which were full of heartache. Gufeng slowly leaned toward me, just about to kiss me when Mylan's wailing suddenly came from outside. "Your Highness! Please don't. Please consider the child in Mrs. belly. That's your own flesh and blood. If your Highness must vent your anger, kill me instead. Miss, Mylan voluntarily die for you." Mylan burst through the door, only to find me and Gufeng sitting properly on the bed, his arms still around me. Mylan didn't stop, turning right back around and rushing out. 13 stood outside holding his head, thoughtfully helping Mylan close the door again. I was embarrassed. "So you didn't kill Mylan, haha." Gufeng gave me a look. "You treat that little maid like a sister, even taking her with you when you faked your death and ran. If I scared her, wouldn't you fight me to the death?" I lowered my head. I had really thought he must have dealt with Mylan and had even planned how to take revenge. But I couldn't say that. I sheepishly hugged Gufeng. Gufeng hugged me back tightly. "Susu, I will only have you as my woman in this life." I didn't respond. It was a difficult thing. I couldn't believe it. His voice suddenly turned dangerous. "What does your silence mean? Or do you have someone else in your heart? That boy? After all, you did try to elope with him." It took great effort to finally appease this jealous man. Though for the next several decades, whenever we argued, Gufeng would bring up this old grievance. As for whether he was in my heart, I told him I'd answer when I turned 80. Upon returning to the capital, Prince Gu's mansion had already been rebuilt. I heard that my legal mother was very ill, and father had sent her to a villa outside the city. I went to visit her and brought her news about Chen Xianua's recent situation. I'm truly kind-hearted. Father was held accountable by the imperial censor, charged with multiple crimes including negligent homicide and forming private factions. Falling from the clouds is more painful than dying directly. He would soon discover that due to his cold and selfish nature, even his closest relatives were unwilling to help him. I still loved collecting my treasure box. But Gufeng would check if my treasure box was still there every morning and night. Later, he specifically assigned one to watch over my treasure box. As long as the box remained, I wouldn't leave. Later I learned that his secret guards were ranked in reverse order, with 13 being the highest ranked. I successfully gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. 2 months later, Gufeng pinned me down on the bed. The delayed lesson finally came. Gufeng indeed kept his promise. I was his only woman for life. Of course, this was something I only confirmed when I turned 80.